I went live, but here we are. I'm gonna tie up some saltwater patterns for an upcoming trip to Mexico. Got less than a month. A month from today I will be there. Pretty pumped on that. So right now I'm just making a claw for a strong arm crab. Just using this chenille. It's fluorescent pink, or yeah, fluorescent shrimp pink. Just folding it enough, tying a little knot. That's gonna become my claws here in just a second. So just formed a loop like so, and I can trim this off and give him a little flame, and you got little claws. Now I am going to cover this with resin and hit it with the UV lamp. Uh-oh. I just lost the cap to my resin. There we go. Okay, so I'm just putting a little layer of this thin UV resin all over this claw. I'm letting it soak in there. This is gonna add some rigidity to the claw, and you'll see why here in a second. I'm gonna do a couple extra steps to this thing. See if we can get it to hold more of the shape we want. There we go. Sorry for the blinding. Cover your eyeballs. Okay. Now we got that curve built in. And another kind of unorthodox part of this, I like to clamp this in my vise, and it doesn't really work well. Maybe, actually, you know what? I'm gonna try something new while we're on live here. Skip a step, we'll just try to add it right to the hook. So I'm using the Gamakatsu SL11 3H. This is a size 6. Where I am going in Mexico, they tend to like, the permit at least, tend to like smaller crabs. So we're going down to a size 6 on this one. Right, so we'll just start the thread at the back. We'll come back in and add the eyes here in a second. Actually, we can just get the eyes on there. Why not? For the eyes, these are just size small, extra small actually, yellow dumbbell eyes, lead dumbbell eyes. They like the yellow down there in Mexico. We're just attaching these right behind the eye on the top side of the hook shank, so this rides hook point up. I'm gonna back that off and start again. because uh-oh. And now I'm trapped in my eye here. There we go. Got him a little too close the first time. I'm gonna back him up just a little bit. What up, everybody in the chat room there? Don't worry, this will start to look like a fly eventually. There we go. All right, that's not going nowhere. Feel like a dad securing a load to a trailer or the truck bed. Yep, she ain't going nowhere. Sucker's on there. All right, now we will add our strong arm. Bear with me here too. This has been a while since I've tied these, so if I mess up, I might have to go back and start over. But essentially what we're gonna do here is attach the strong arm. We want this to go pretty far up the bend of the hook here so that it kind of works as a rudder as it sinks, and it will kind of flutter in the current there. But something I want to try here, and normally I do this before I attach the arm, and now that I'm thinking about it, it's probably not going to work off the arm, but I usually dub this arm so that it's covered and it's the same color as the crab itself, and then just the claw is sticking out, and that's kind of like a hot spot. But now that I'm looking at it, I don't think that's going to work. So experiments. But what I could do, what if I made a dubbing loop? Let's just see. So I can't. All right. That's not gonna work. So back to the original idea here. Like I said, you guys gotta bear with me. This is first time tying in a minute, tying this pattern at least. And I was trying something new, trying to cut corners, save time, and ended up wasting time. So here we are. Almost there. Okay, well, you guys get to see the original way I tie this fly instead. So what I'm gonna do is throw a little whip finish in that, cut it off, put it to the side. And I think what I need to do is hit this guy with some more resin. See if it works this time. There we go. Okay, so the idea here is now we can attach the thread straight to the claw. Hopefully this works. I made it a lot longer than I have been, and that's probably part of the problem. Let's do this. It's longer and flimsier. Okay. So normally I use like a hare's ear dubbing for this, but I don't have any hare's ear dubbing, and the color that I'm doing this crab with is gonna be like a, I don't know, it's gonna be a hybrid of like a Casablanca and a raghead with a pink arm, strong arm, and the yellow eyes. So we're gonna try this. This is just Senyo's laser yarn in white. See if this works. Okay. Might need a little more after this pinch, but we will see. It's kind of hard when I don't have it as rigid, but I think that's gonna work out in the end. Okay. Now, since this is white thread, I'm just gonna go back over this dubbing just to lock in a little more of it. And then later I can brush it out and give it a more realistic look. And that should work. Little whip finish there. Snip that off and we can bring the fly back into the picture. Okay. So jump back on here with the thread. This is wanting to spin on the top of the shank. It's because I made it too hard so it would fit in the vise. Ay, ay, ay. First time tying. Bear with me. And there go my eyes is spinning. The ones that I said weren't going anywhere. Okay. We're just gonna call that good. It's kind of funky, but it's gonna work. I mean, it's just meant to fool one of the most picky fish there is, right? No big deal. Just gonna cover up this last little bit with a little more dubbing. Okay. Now, need some marabou, some white, preferably. We're gonna stick with the white theme here. Grabbing a pretty good clump. Trying to catch permit mainly, that's the main goal. That's what this fly here will be for, but also some tarpon and some bonefish will be in the mix, I'm sure. Maybe a snook, maybe a triggerfish. Anything that swims. All right, so I got a pretty healthy clump of marabou here. And I'm just gonna let this kind of roll around the hook. I might need to add a little more. Okie dokie. Some of these longer ones off in a little bit, but for now that's looking pretty good. It's a little uneven. Work some of these around with my thumb, hopefully. That's looking better. Okay. For legs, I'm going to take 3 of these white and gold barred rubber legs here. just gonna X-wrap them. Let's see, which side do we want them on? We want them on the other side. Okay. I'm just gonna add a little bit of dubbing just to even up this body a little bit towards the eyes. And a whip finish. Why not? Okay. So I probably could have done this part ahead of time, but here we are. This is furry foam in the cream color. And I'm just gonna kind of cut out a rough crab shape. It doesn't have to be perfect. Something like that. It's kind of grabby. Yeah, that ought to work. Now, I'm gonna peel this in half, like so. We're gonna apply some glue. Just using this E6, whatever, E6000. Heck. The marabou flying everywhere. Okay. Uh-oh. I just lost half of my crab body too in that marabou plume. Couldn't have gone far. What the heck? Oh, here it is. Got it. We're back in business. All right, glue. Got it everywhere, of course. I'm pretty much just sandwiching these two pieces of felt back together, and I will spread out the legs how I want them as that glue sets up. And I know that wasn't a pretty process to get here, but we got here. Sweet. Thanks. Appreciate it, Wild 420, man. Now I do think I need to even these legs up a little bit. One side's a little longer than the other. That looks better. Boom. Little strong arm. Casablanca. Should ride something like that in the water with the little strong arm sticking up. Cool. All right, well, that's one fly. What else? I was gonna tie a bunch of those, but that sounds kind of boring, so I'm gonna change it up and we'll tie a bonefish fly now. Bonefish fly, and then maybe a tarpon fly, and then maybe I'll call it good. I gotta go to the dentist tomorrow. I'm not pumped on it, but I do. Not early, but it's down a couple hour drive from here. So I gotta get up pretty early, walk the dogs, do all that, and then goddamn marabou everywhere, flying everywhere. Okay, so this little guy's just gonna be off drying to the side, but I am happy with it. It'll fish. So let's see, bonefish. Let's do a size 8. We'll go a little smaller. Gamakatsu SL45. This is a bonefish hook. They're black. I or like nickel tinted, I don't know. Nickel plated. It doesn't say, but the metal, they're darker color, so it's not that silvery sheen that the stainless steel has. I don't know if they're not as strong or anything like that. That would be worth knowing, but I think it'll hold up to the Mexico bonefish. They're pretty small, typically. All right, I don't really know where I'm going with this. Let's do a Vivercus. Why not? It's one of my favorites. It works for bonefish. It also would work if a permit happened to come along. So Guess let's add some bead chain first. Boom. What up, Colt 45 Colt? Any thoughts on what, man? Also, sorry if you guys are messaging in the chat. My phone's a little low, so I can't really see it while I'm tying. I'm not ignoring you, I promise. Okay, so I'm just taking a little rabbit fur here. This is gonna be like his little mouth tendrils going right along the bottom. Okay. All right, now we need some eyes. Ooh, what type of flies are better for rainbow trout? That all depends on where you're fishing for your rainbow trout and what kind of bugs are in the system. But you could always, pretty much always, tie on a mop fly. So I'll go ahead and say mop fly. Final answer. Eggs also work all the time. San Juan worms also work all the time. What a lot of people consider trash flies. All right, so now I'm getting some craft fur. This is going to be the wing, I guess, or whatever you would call it. That's way too big. We're gonna cut that about in half. I want this to be like 1.5 times the length of the shank there, if that. Also, why am I way up there? That's looking better. I can't remember. No, it doesn't. Okay. So trying to remember how to tie this off the top of my head. It's not going very well. It's late. It's been a long day. But I know I need this craft fur still, so I don't know why I'm putting it away. Bear with me. Bear with me. Yeah, what Brett said. Depends on time of year. Bugs are hatching, but also a mop fly. Okay. You know what? I have a Vivercus. I don't need to look at the recipe. I'm just gonna look at it. See how I tied that. So this is one I tied earlier in the week. So, okay. We'll leave that there. And might have just lost my eyes. Nope, there they are. So I'm using these Chacon crusher legs in sand color. I'm gonna go ahead and put the first one in. I'm gonna cut them in half because I don't need a whole leg on here. I'm just pulling one to each side of the shank. Now I'm gonna add my eyes. These are just like some easy shrimp eyes that I got off of Amazon for real cheap. For some reason that just wants to roll on me. Okay. And these guys, you can kind of just bend them down where you want them to be. And they have a little bit of a memory where they'll stay there eventually. So anyways, enough of that for now. We will go back to tying. We'll adjust those eyes in a little bit. Oh man, okay. So normally this recipe calls for, you just use the craft fur and use like the, I don't know, the guard hairs, I guess, out of the bottom of the craft fur. But I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to use hare's ear dubbing. and try and match up the color. I've got a little bit of tan left. That's gonna work. And the first, we're gonna cover all this up. It's okay if it's messy. We're gonna come back and clean it up. Don't you worry. Now, coming in with rubber legs again. Another set. Coming up each side of the shank. Okay. A little more dubbing. And we need one more crusher leg. Technically, I guess you could call a shrimp and nymph pattern. I don't know. Saltwater, it's not, you don't really consider them nymphs, but it is a subsurface pattern. It's just supposed to imitate a shrimp. And I think I should have put a little more dubbing in between there. Not loving this fly. Like I said, guys, I'm pretty tired. It's been a long day. I haven't been to, I'll just be, I guess, a little more open with you random strangers than I need to be, but I don't like dentists, and I have not been to a dentist in like 7 years until like 3 days ago. And I had a filling that fell out and had some sensitivity, and then went to the dentist, and turns out I need 2 root canals, and I needed a 3rd filling on another tooth that didn't really even know about, and then I was like, okay, well, that's gonna be expensive. And so she got me in real quick for the cavity, not the root canals, today, but I go for the root canals tomorrow. So just kind of getting it all done right away. But yeah, it's been a long day, and tomorrow's going to be an even longer day. But tying some flies is helping me not think about it too much. But my flies are coming out kind of crappy, so I feel like I'm thinking about it too much. But here we are. I got one permit fly done and one bonefish fly done. I think I could get a tarpon fly done still, but I don't know. This might be it for me. but that's pretty much it. These legs are a little wonky. That's also a little wonky. These guys we can bring down. I want to make sure they're just the back four. I want these just a little shorter. Say about there. Well, that didn't turn out half bad actually. So, all right with that. That is the Vivercus mantis. Super dope bonefish fly. Permit also eat them. I don't know if I would be very confident throwing this size 8 bonefish fly at a permit, but if that's what you have on and a permit swims in front of you, probably gonna throw it. Why not? So there you go. Vivercus mantis. He gets to hang out with this weird crab fly over here that I tied. It's all set up now. Good to go, ready to fish. All right. I think that's it. I don't got a tarpon fly in me. What time is it? It's 9:16. I gotta get up early and drive 2 hours to my dentist appointment. So I think that's gonna wrap it up. Deuces.